Okay, so I'm Shilah Nickerson, and thank you all for joining me for presenting my senior presentation. So to start off, I'd just like to say that these last 4 years I've had a really great time at Mark Morris, and I've had a lot of teachers over the past 4 years that have really just influenced my life and taken care of me and really taught me a lot that I'm going to use for the rest of my life. 3 of my favorite teachers have been Mr. Tilton, who was my U.S. history teacher last year, and also my civics teacher this year for first semester. I also had Mr. Perkins, who was my weight training teacher, and also I was a TA for him for 2 years. And then Mr. Smith, I had him my freshman and sophomore year when my other English teachers got pregnant and went on maternity leave. I had to have Mr. Smith. And then I also had him this year for AP Literature and Composition. And some of my favorite classes have been AP Lit and Composition. I just really enjoyed Mr. Smith and everything that he taught us in that class. And we got to read a lot of different books, which I just love to read, and so that was really great. And then I also enjoyed Career Options, which I took my freshman year. We had that from Mr. Ruiz. It's not offered anymore, but with that class we got to do a lot of different things. Like we got to do therapeutic science stuff like taping ankles or taping wrists, stuff like that, and also like just learning about different kinds of careers that we could have in the future. And then I also enjoyed Spanish and civics. So I have some of my examples here of some of my best works throughout the years. My freshman year, it was a bulimia presentation that was in Career Options, and that was just really cool because like we got to learn about a disease, and we had to learn about how the people live with that disease for the rest of their life, and they take care of that, and they have to just be fighting that forever, and it's pretty inspirational. And then my sophomore year, I did a DNA fingerprinting essay and presentation, and that was cool because I got to learn about the O.J. Simpson case and kind of learn what went with that. And then my junior year, it was my types of reactions lab in chemistry because Ms. Princehouse is a very difficult grader, and so it was pretty exciting to actually get a decent score on lab. And then my senior year, it was my research paper, which I wrote in Mr. Smith's class, and I did it on the life of F. Scott Fitzgerald and his influence, like that influence on The Great Gatsby. And I just kind of fell in love with The Great Gatsby. I read it multiple times in his class, so it just was really interesting getting to learn all about his life and how that influenced everything. So some of my extracurricular activities have been playing soccer. I played soccer for 4 years here at Mark Morris. I was a 3-year varsity letterman. This last year I was also a co-captain, and I won the Coaches Award, which I was very happy about. I also played basketball. This was my first year on varsity this year, and this year was like interesting. I wasn't actually going to play, but then I just got to know all of the younger girls, and it was just, I loved them all, and so I got to play with them, and I won most inspirational, which was pretty exciting because I was more the cheerleader on the bench, and so it was cool that they recognized me for my role on the team. And then I played tennis my freshman and sophomore year, and I was C-Squad and JV, and that was just a fun thing to do with my friends, and I really enjoyed that. I've also been a part of leadership the last 2 years, and that's been really cool because I've gotten more involved in the school in other areas besides sports. And then I was also part of Spanish Club. So last year, my second semester, I got to spend 6 months in Fortaleza, Brazil. I lived with this amazing family, and they had a little son that was like a year old. They completely welcomed me into their family. I was like a daughter to them, and I still talk to them often. And I went to a school there that was a private school that was totally taught in Portuguese. It was probably the biggest struggle of my life living there so far. The school is called Colegio Ima Maria Montenegro, and pretty much no one spoke English, so it was a really interesting transition over there, and like I didn't know any Portuguese before I went, so it was a very big learning experience, but I enjoyed it very much and wouldn't change it for anything. But another big struggle was coming back here because like my credits were all messed up because I didn't do well in school over there because I couldn't understand anything. And so I wasn't going to be able to play soccer or any other sports, but Mr. McCaddy and the whole, my mom and Mr. McCaddy and everyone here at Mark Morris was very supportive and made sure that we got it all figured out and we were able to get some credits for it, and so everything was put in place. But it was really difficult and stressful, but it was also a struggle readjusting to actually being in school, because over there I kind of got to do my own thing because they couldn't really teach me that well, and so coming back here I had to readjust to actually paying attention and learning and following everything and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a good adjustment though. I was able to get it under control. So here are some of my test scores. In the HISP I got a 3 in math, and then reading, writing, and science I got a 4. And in the SATs I got math and writing 570 and reading was a 600. So some of my community service activities, I actually started my first one when I was in 7th grade. I began coaching my little cousin's soccer team with my mom, and we continued that throughout my junior year. Then I was also a CDG elementary school volunteer. I volunteered in the special education classroom and also the kindergarten classroom. And I also helped put on the winter ball and the carnival, those kind of outside activities for the school. And these past few years, the Mark Morris girls soccer team has put on a youth soccer camp. And when I was in middle school, my parents ran a soccer camp for my select soccer team, and so I kind of knew how to do it. And so my coach kind of put me in charge as camp director, so I did that for 2 years as well. So my service to the school, I did it through athletic participation with soccer and basketball and tennis. And then this year I started being a team mentor, and this is my mentee over there, Yesenia, and that was very exciting. I loved doing that. I went to North Lake once a week for an hour and spent time with her and a few of her friends, and we just talked and played Uno. She loved Uno. We played that every single day, but it was fun, and I'm really glad I did it. I was also a Lincoln Pride leader, which we help the freshmen transition into high school, and so we meet with them a week before school starts and show them around the school, talk to them about their teachers and what to expect when they come to Mark Morris. And then we also meet with them periodically throughout the year to make sure that they're doing good and having a good transition. And then I was also part of leadership class, like I said earlier. I was part of committees like the news committee. I was part of that for 2 months. I also did Make the Change last year and was part of a project called Project Fresh, which we started this year. So here are my 6 exit outcomes. My first one is responsible citizen, which I put Project Fresh, which was my 2 friends, Sophie Schulde and Kiana Parvis, and I started this thing where we were going to have clothing drives throughout the school for all different types of clothing, and then we would wash them and trade them with other schools outside of our district like Woodland or Rainier. And then we would open up a little store here at Mark Morris in a spare room, and kids who don't usually get to go get new clothes for the beginning of school or during the winter would get to come privately. No one would know about it, and they would get to pick out some clothes that they could feel comfortable wearing to school. That is still in the works. We have to talk to the administrator, but it's gonna happen, so we're excited about that. And then for quality producer, I put my research paper because I did 5 different copies of it and made sure it was perfect, because I just really fell in love with Gatsby, and so I wanted to make sure that I did it very well. And for resourceful thinker, I have my online classes, which I had to do online classes to make sure I had all my credits in order before I went to Brazil. So the summer before my junior year, I took health online over the summer, and then this last summer when I got back, I took U.S. history for 2nd semester, and then I took British and World Lit during 1st semester of classes this year. And then for effective communicator, I have my youth soccer team, because it's very different talking to little kids and kind of coach them and teach them how to do different things than it is talking to peers and adults. And then it was also difficult when I would have to do the end of the year banquets, and I would have to talk about each of the individual players, and I had to make sure I was very positive about them so not to offend any of their parents. And then I have a self-directed learner. I went to Brazil, and obviously like not a lot of kids get the opportunity to do that, and the fact that I actually took that opportunity and went over there and learned so much more about life than I could have here in Longview was really, I was really happy I did that. And then for knowledgeable person, I just have my test scores because I thought they were pretty good. So next year I'm going to be attending Washington State University over in Pullman, and I plan on paying with that with some scholarships. I've received a few. I've got $4,000 a year from Wazoo actually for the Regent Scholarship, and then I also have a $1,000 one from Friends of St. John. And then I've also been working for the Cowles Blackbirds. I just started that, and I have a regular babysitting job, and I'm hoping to find one more job that I can do this summer. And then also I'm going to be getting my parents' support. They're going to be paying for my tuition, which I'm very happy about. And I plan on majoring in psychology next year, or throughout college, and then getting my master's in marriage and family therapy. So throughout high school, I've had a really great experience here at Mark Morris. It's given me a lot of opportunities, and I've really grown a lot here. I've made a lot of friendships, and I'm really excited about my future and what is coming next. So thank you for listening.